Welcome to the Complete Fitness Podcast with Core 4 Complete Fitness. Your episode is starting in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, people. Happy Wednesday to you all. I hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you guys are having a great week. Welcome to the Complete Fitness Podcast. Like always, if you guys could do us one favor before we get going, please subscribe if you're a listener. Maybe you're listening for the first time, watching for the first time. There's a little subscribe button on any and all of the platforms that you're watching or listening to us through. And it'll help us boop up the charts, and ultimately we will be able to help more people, help you out. So we do this podcast for free every single week. So if you could do us this one small favor, it will be greatly appreciated. And share it with somebody that you know may need help inside the gym, outside the gym, with their nutrition, with workouts. We put this out there obviously to help you guys. So spread the love is all we're saying. Now, today's topic, guys. I had a birthday last week, turned the tender age of 39, and I wanted to dive into it in terms of what's working, how I've changed things with my nutrition, with my workouts. In a nutshell, basically the stuff that I used to be able to pull off when I was 20-something years old. If I tried to do that now, it would get tougher and tougher. And some of you guys might be experiencing this where you're like, okay, maybe that I'm gaining weight too quick with my food, so I'm just going to hammer myself in the gym. And if you tried this, you kind of realize it's kind of you're going to hit this, what's the word? Like Wile E. Coyote, like the brick wall where you're just going to slam into it and you go, I can't sustain this for more than a week or two. You beat yourself up. You go back to like not eating, spending 2 hours in the gym, and you can't seem to get a hold on how to kind of stay healthy as you age. So I'm going to give you guys kind of a lowdown, and Evan is too, just the tweaks that we've made, whereas the years begin to tack on, how to make sure that you're operating at your highest potential so you don't injure yourself, so you can still stay in shape and still live your life a little bit. Now, my biggest thing where as I've gotten older is nutrition has to be at the forefront of what you're doing. Where you guys can probably think back to a time when you were 17, 18, 19, 20, early 20s where you could stay out late, you could have Taco Bell, you could go get pizza, you could hammer out an 8-hour work day, still go to the gym, and somehow you were still this lean, mean fighting machine. You try to do that now, and you're like, there's no way I can sustain this. You get sick, you get injured, and all that stuff. So my biggest thing is to lead everything with nutrition. Now, that's not to say I have to live in this box on the weekend if it's a family night or we go out to breakfast or we, watch a movie and order a pizza. I'll make sure over the course of a week, I know when that day is going to be. And leading up to that, everything has to be very much hunky-dory, and in line. But kind of the best piece of advice I ever heard is in terms of workout nutrition, everybody thinks that it's 50-50. It's 50% workouts, 50% nutrition, or even greater, that you can kind of out-train a poor diet. You can't do that, especially as you get older, but the 80% of your nutrition drives home the 20% in the gym, right? So if I'm feeling good, if I'm not eating crap, if my energy levels are great, my workouts are going to be that much better. Whereas if I'm filling my body with garbage, I'm going to skip workouts. They're not going to be as great. I'm going to be bloated. I'm going to be lethargic. And it just kind of has this snowball effect. So with the workouts, listen to your body, especially as you get older. I think for a lot of us, we try to kind of hum or shut up that internal voice that tells us, hey, your knee's screaming at you, your back's bugging you. If you still want to work out, go work out, but find something that you can give those areas a little break or a little breather when they need it. Because, you've probably experienced this ever, where you go to bed and you feel great, and then you wake up and you're like, my shoulder hurts, my back hurts, my knee hurts. What the hell did I do when I was sleeping? And you don't want to try to always have to push through that. So listen to your body. Still make it a point where you go, okay, I'm going to get to the gym 4 to 5 days this week. I'm going to have a rest day on this day and this day. But if you're just kind of taking it willy-nilly and you're going, okay, I feel good today. Here comes a workout. I feel bad the next day. I'm going to skip a workout. You're always going to be, not progressing. It's always 2 steps forward, 2 steps backwards.
I think we are always chasing a younger version of ourselves that felt better, that looked better, that XYZ, whatever we make up, and that's what we set the standard. So we're always, if I do a workout but I know I've pushed harder in the gym, I think I didn't get as good as I could have gotten. I kind of wimped out. I kind of chintzied out a little bit. I'm not doing it's whatever. And that does a bunch of bad for us. Obviously, it's going to keep us pushing more than we need to necessarily as we age, and it's also going to ruin the positive effects. You're almost like stopping the endorphins and dopamine and the positivity you get from moving and exercising, because you're going, it's not as good as it was. So like the second you get any type of, wow, I feel good, I worked out, in the back of your mind you're going, nope, you used to work out for 10 minutes longer at the higher heart rate, or you used to lift this
50
much
more
weight.
pounds, or yeah.
Exactly. So there's always kind of the damper effect that's ruining the benefits that we get mentally from that, as well as, yeah, we're forcing ourselves. We're deadlifting, and I used to deadlift X amount of pounds, and so now I know when I deadlift it's not that, and so that must mean I'm really not doing anything good. I'm really not getting better than I was 10 years ago, right? So it's almost like we get this, carrot dangling in front of our face of that is the only improvement. But the reality of it is exercise, and as we evolve as people, your exercise needs to evolve too, and you're not supposed to do the things you did forever. You're really not supposed to. That's aging, just like anything. And the reason I know that this is true, what I always relate it to, is it's the same with animals and things like that. When they get older, like you take your dog for a walk, when it gets older, the 3-mile walk off leash, running up and down hill, as they get older, they don't do it as much. Or hunter, I have a buddy who has a hunting dog. As that dog gets older, it's not going to be the day out sniffing and running. Eventually the dog's going to be like, hey, I'm kind of done with this, Dad. So it's just like, it's the same thing with us. However, that doesn't mean stopping, and that's where we get in trouble. And we've talked about that in other podcasts. But I think to kind of have the acceptance of, I'm not moving at the same clip as I used to be. However, this is still very much good for me. This is really good for me. And something that kind of is a viral thing going on now, which leads into this perfectly, is Mike Tyson. And that was a big bummer. I'm not going to lie. That made me very sad. I actually woke up, I fell asleep on the couch, woke up, it was midnight, and I went, oh my God, they're probably fighting right now. I popped it on, and it was over, and it was just them talking. And then they showed highlights, and, he's waddling around, and he just looks like an old guy up there fighting a young guy. And it was sad. It was like painful. It made me feel sick. It was sad, which it's weird. I had such an emotional reaction from, Mike Tyson going crazy and all of that stuff. Was like, I was never following boxing, and a lot of it was even before my time. So it wasn't even like that, I love Mike Tyson, but just from highlight footage. But it was never like I grew up on Tyson like a lot of people did. But it was sad to see, like, he looked in great shape. You looked at him, he looked jacked. He fought more than I could fight right now. I couldn't do 8 2-minute rounds or whatever that was. He did all of this stuff. It's still incredible shape, but the result was so incredibly, entirely different. And, that's kind of a little microcosm of what we're talking about, is to do things the way you used to and expect to do things the way you used to, and to only feel happiness or positivity or feel the growth or feel the changes or expect the changes by doing things you used to is a one-way track to getting hurt and set back and constantly yo-yoing back from injury. And then, like I said, not allowing yourself the positive feelings that come from working out.
Yeah. And like you said, even with that like Tyson fight, like I think like almost everybody was rooting for Mike Tyson, but then you saw the reality of it, and you're like, okay, yeah, it's like someone beating up your dad, where you're like,
it was so sad, man. It was sad.
Yeah. But you see, like, both of them are boxers. Both of them I mean, with their shirts off, look jacked, in great
Right.
shape. But
Yeah.
you can see just the difference that time kind of does to your body, where you don't
Yeah.
move as good, where you're a little bit more stiff, you're not as bouncy, and all that stuff is perfectly normal.
Yep.
But realizing, okay, as I age, things might not move or be as synergistic as they used to be, and that's completely okay. And
Right.
with this, guys, one of the biggest things, at least for me, is, workout wise, I have to listen to my body a little bit more. Box jumps, where I used to be able before, kind of just spring off my toe every time and just go boing, boing, boing. Now I either have to step it down or I have to just take like a half a second pause before I jump again. But just that quick, fast twitch stuff starts to dissipate. And that just happens as we get older, right? You can still probably run, you can still do stuff, but you're going to notice, okay, I might not be able to do it at the speed or the intensity that I used to, but I'm keeping going forward, which is the most important part. And the other thing is just the recovery time. I noticed for me, like if I really hammer a workout the next day, I used to just kind of bounce back. I'd be a little sore, a little tight, but now I really have to put a ton of focus on recovery time and make sure I'm drinking water, make sure I'm getting in protein, just because we said it on this podcast before, but they said after the age of 30, naturally we lose about 2 to 8% of our muscle tissue per decade. So if you're not kind of combating that or kicking that can down the road with strength training combined with getting in whole food, healthy food, protein, that's going to speed up and speed up and speed up. And you want to try to keep that kind of bottled up as long as you possibly can. Um, but a lot of us, like you said, we compare the version of ourselves now to what we'd be able to do 15, 20 years ago. And if we always have that comparison in mind, you're always getting, it's like the whole thing where people talk about their glory days in high school. And I was able to run this and do this and tackle this, and I was all state or all pro, and we did this. We went to the championship. And you think back to that old version of you that was like the pinnacle. Think of it like the Jake Paul Tyson fight. But reality kind of hits home sometimes, and you're like, okay, I'm not able to do that or deadlift, 500 pounds like I used to, but maybe you can lift 200 pounds now or 250 pounds now. And you're keeping yourself strong, you're keeping yourself healthy. But for a lot of us, we kind of have this perfect image of when we were at our prime and at our best. And even in hockey, like I noticed that, like turning and shooting, my back starts to act up sometimes. So just those little things, and you go, oh my gosh, I'm not what I used to be. But I'm like, okay, I'm still out here. We can still hang with the 20 or 30-year-olds. We're still, in every game for the most part. And if you can kind of put it all into perspective like that, I've mentioned it before, but that guy that we played hockey with that was 82 years old, Jerry, and he's hanging out at the Saturday night drop, and he always comes there. And he's 82, so it's like he's slower than us, obviously, not as fast. When he gets the puck, everybody kind of lays off. But in my head, I'm like, if you would say at 82 years old, you would still be out here with these 20, 16, 30-year-olds and still skating with them, like, would you sign on the dotted line? I'd be like, hell yes, every single time.
Right.
So
Right.
that
And
just kind of gives to show you guys what's possible if you continue to take care of yourself and you treat your body kind of with the respect that it wants when it's trying to tell you something and not trying to always force that issue when it needs a break.
yeah, and that's what like that's the perspective to look at. If Mike Tyson fought another 60-year-old, he would have beat him.
Yeah.
He didn't look, it's not like he looked like a disheveled old man. He
He's
looked
jacked.
incredible. He's incredibly fit, and he can box better than anybody. But he's not in his prime anymore. And this is just Father Time is undefeated, as they say. You can't unwind the clock. You can't do things. You can't, and it sounds crazy to think, but acceptance of that gets you further ahead. Because if you're always chasing, like we said, you're destined for injury, setbacks, whatnot, and disappointment and anger, and the disappointment fuels the desire to quit. Then and then you go, well, I'm not 25 anymore. I can't deadlift a house anymore, run a marathon anymore. What's the point? So I stop. Then all of a sudden when you're 60, it's a way different story than if you just go, okay, I'm going to deadlift what I can deadlift. I'm going to run at the pace I can run at. I'm going to maybe take an extra rest day now. Maybe I used to eat, I used to be able to, have 2-3 beers every night and wake up and be a productive member of society. Now I'm groggier in the mornings. I'm feeling the effects of it longer. I can't do this as much anymore. And you adapt and you live. And then when you're 60, 70, 80, 90, you're still doing things. You can still do them. It's just not at the clip you could. But if you stop fully, which again breeds from all of that, comparison to a younger you, which shouldn't happen in the first place, and doing that just breeds this behavior. If you can knock that off, you can really stay focused in your workout, and you go, I didn't sleep the best. I'm sick. I'm coming down with something. I got a real busy day, so I know I just need to put in my 20 minutes, and I'm not going to redline myself. I'm not going to lift the most I've ever lifted. I'm not going to be laying in a puddle of my own sweat. I'm going to get a little sweat on. My heart rate's going to get up a little bit. I'm going to challenge these muscles a little bit, and then I got, more shit to do. I'm going to move on, and that's okay, and that will lead to a happier, healthier you, rather than going, oh, I'm sick. When I'm sick, I used to just battle through and do it no matter what, or when I'm tired, when I didn't get enough sleep, I would just push through and do it no matter what, but then I did it, and I hurt my back, and now I have to be up 2 weeks. I can't do any type of lifting. And then my mentality gets bad, and then it's the holidays, so I'll just pick it up in January. And now it's been 4 months since I've moved, and so now I'm scared to move because my back hurt. It's really just this slippery slope that is so painfully obvious in front of us, but it all starts with chasing that. When I was 25, I could do this. And what I always do to tell myself is, and it's kind of funny, I don't know if you agree, it's kind of not the nicest way to think about yourself, but I always just go, it wasn't that good at it. Yeah, I'm romanticizing it a little bit. It wasn't that great of an athlete. You know what I mean? Yeah, you weren't that strong. You weren't that fast. You didn't feel that good all the time. And it kind of just humbles me to be like, yeah, it's really romanticized, and everyone thinks they were this god, at this one time in their life, and there was always somebody a lot better than you, and there's always people a lot worse than you, and that's just the way it is, and that's why the comparison is the thief of joy, right? Once you start comparing, then all of a sudden you're not happy, and the workouts suffer, and the slippery slope I've been blabbing on about. So it all starts there to me. It's the mind. It's being mindful of going, I'm not there. That doesn't mean I'm done. It's just I'm not there. So that's okay. That doesn't mean I can just get in the ring with Mike Tyson, but it does. I'm just not there anymore. That's okay.
Yeah. It's like in football terms. Take what the defense gives you. Know what I mean? If the defense is giving you 10 yards, take the 10 yards. You might not be able to lob it downfield 100 yards in 2 plays like you used to, but if you're like, I'm going to dink and dunk this 5 yards, 10 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards, it may take you 10 attempts to get down the field, but you're like, okay, I can still get to the end zone. I can still score a touchdown. I just have to realize it might take me a little bit longer, which is completely fine.
Yeah,
but a lot of us, you'll read kind of that defense per se, and you're like, screw it, I'm just going to whip this downfield. And then, I know we're talking football again, but that's when the interceptions happen. That's when the incompletions happen. You give the ball back to the other team, and then you end up not on the field at all. So if you can have the mindset where I'm going to take what my body's giving me, I'm going to take what it's telling me, I'm going to move it in the direction, whether it's 5 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards, great. Those 16, 20-year-olds can, throw it 50 if they want to. But I know as long as I keep progressing this ball downfield, so to speak, I'm going to end up in the same spot as these guys.
Yeah, and they're not going to do it forever. Yeah, I mean, keeping on the track of football, NFL players don't make it to age 30.
Yeah,
doing the stuff they were doing.
That's a retiree right there.
Yeah, so like, what do you? I'm a walking miracle if I was in the NFL. 32. People would be like, oh my God, and it's like, yeah, you can't expect to do that forever, and that's okay. That's totally natural and normal, and that's what life is. That's the hand we were dealt when we were born. It doesn't have anything to do with you being woe is me, something bad. No, it's just
Subpar.
yeah, yeah. So if that type of chatter's happening, it couldn't be more off. But yeah, this is a good topic, and I think it's an important one because I catch people often, and it does happen in the smaller aspects in the gym where people take 3 months off and then they come back and they go, "Oh, this is harder than it was before I left. I'm not doing it anymore." And it's just like, no, 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 no. You just need to get. You were doing it regularly, and now you stopped. And it's
Yeah.
the same thing in life. If I turn 32, and all of a sudden I have this, and I have back issue and that going on, and so I just stop. I went, wow, working out just isn't really for me. Yeah, bad things are going to happen. Or I adjust. I take my time. I'm mindful. I go, okay, well, the last 3-4 times I've deadlifted, it's hurt my back. So maybe I need to move down to other exercises that work the same muscles. Maybe I'm doing more single leg kettlebell stuff. Maybe I'm doing, a little more hinging, back, hip raises, glute bridges. I can still train the same muscles if the conventional barbell deadlift is just bothersome to me, or I get a hex bar, or I get, and that's more
There's
our
1,000 ways to skin a cat,
right. That's more our talk, but that's why having people who do it and know it and coaches and X, Y, and Z is a good tool to help. But yeah, it's so funny how it always just comes down to like, well, why do you feel this need? You go, oh, because I used to. It's just like, well, why do we all have that hardwired in us? I think it's just normal. We're always chasing this prime, but and I always think this prime I wanted to do something else during that time. So it's
Yeah.
just kind of like, you can always be unhappy or you can always be happy. So just choose happy. One of my favorite quotes is, if you can have a bad day for no reason, you can have a good day for no reason. So it's the
It's
same
true.
thing. It's the same thing. I can go, yeah, I was 22 and I was in great physical shape and I could eat whatever I wanted and drink whatever I wanted and bounce back and be in great shape and blah 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 blah. But I was also an idiot. I
Yeah.
had no
You didn't
outlook
know
on life
like
or
nutrition per se.
understanding. No, I was dumb. If I thought I had it all figured out, guess what? I didn't, and I'm the proof now. I knew that I needed to make some adjustments. So, and you grow up and you learn, and then you make the adjustments. And sometimes it's hard, but that's okay. That's what life is. Everything gets hard, and you adjust. But, um, yeah, I think it's a cool topic. It always comes down to that mindset. We're always our own worst enemy. It's always us getting
I
in our
know.
way.
Especially as we get older and we can't do the things that maybe we used to do, or not at the intensity that we used to do, or the quality that we used to do it. We're the first ones to beat ourselves up and go, you suck, you do this, you're not able to do this, or think about where you were a couple of years ago. And if you always have that mindset of, back then, you lose sight of what is ahead of you and where you are right now. If you can go,
Yeah,
I'm going to do the best I can do today, and it may be 50% one day, it might be 80 the next. You still got it done. You still move the needle in the right direction. But if you constantly go, well, I can't do this like I used to forever, so I'm not going to do anything at all you do is end up defeating yourself.
yeah. It's showing up for a past you, and we need to be showing up for the future us. I need to be doing stuff now for 42-year-old me, then 52-year-old me, then 62-year-old me, not for 22-year-old me.
Yeah.
And that's just the kind of the mindset shift that can be a game changer, to stay confident in yourself and your abilities, to go, yeah. And then all of a sudden, when you're looking at it that way, you go, I'm doing all right for 32. You can look around. You can go, I'm doing all right for 39. I see a lot of 39-year-olds that aren't in half the shape I am. And then this is when comparison can kind of realign you and kind of be like, okay, it's not, what am I doing living in this past? The past is gone. I'm fine. I'm still here. I can learn from it, but if it's hindering me, if it's stopping me from going forward, what are we doing? That's not what it's meant for. You're
Yeah.
supposed to learn and continue on. So when you are hitting the gym or choosing your meals or being smart and being mindful of this and moving your body and hydrating and all of the stuff, sleep, stress management, nutrition, it's for what you're going to be like when you're 10 years from now. when you're 49. It's not what you're going to be like when you're, you know what I mean? So it's a good shift. It's important.
Agreed, baby. Now, should you guys need anything with help with recovery, help after your workouts, when you get older, if you know that you're not getting in the greens, the nutrients, the veggies that you should be getting, if you know that you're skimping out on protein and you're like, I'm getting to the gym, but I know my quality of food needs to be better. One of the things I started taking about a month and a half ago is creatine. We have a Core 4 creatine that is on our website that helps greatly with recovery. In the gym, if you're trying to squeeze out those last couple reps, it helps give you a little boost. We have that at core4supplements.com. We have a daily green supplement at core4supplements.com. I told you before, our whey protein is completely delicious. All of it is on there for you guys, and we have about 20 other things on there if you guys need help getting in shape and staying in shape. Again, core4supplements.com. And like always, if you're watching or listening to the podcast, if you use the code word podcast at the checkout, you'll save 10% off your whole order, and you get free shipping on everything if you spend over $100. So you can get a nice double whammy. If you want to stock up on Christmas presents for people, spend over $100. We'll ship it to your house for free, and you never had to leave the house, and everybody is happy and healthy for the holidays. But that is all, peoples. Make it a great day. Make it a great week. Make it a great rest of the month. And we'll see you all back in here next week. Peace.
That's right. Lions 14-3. Super Bowl.
Keep it going.